desert, for I walk in this world.
Good morning. Hope this has been a good day for you so far and a good week for you so far, and that you've been very blessed. But I wanted to share a few thoughts with you this morning. When we think about the Looney Tunes cartoons, one name that is synonymous with the Looney Tunes cartoons is Mel Blanc. He's been associated with the characters in Looney Tunes, doing the voices and things like that. And you'll recall at the end of every cartoon, at the end of the production, Bugs Bunny comes out and says on the screen, and he says, "That's all, folks." And that's the voice of Mel Blanc. Now, when Mel Blanc died, as a way of remembering him, his family put an inscription on his tombstone, and that inscription says, "That's all, folks," with an exclamation point. Now, the question is, and particularly when we talk about the resurrection itself, is that inscription true? Is death all there is for us? Is death the period at the end of the sentence of life? Or, I mean, when you die, is it really that's all, folks? Or is it something different? See, when we put a comma at the end of a sentence, that means a continuing thought. Something is coming after that. And so is death a comma or a doorway to more life? And we kind of know the answer to that, but something to think about a little bit. The ancient Job, he struggles through his pain to try to answer that particular question, long before the doctrine of the resurrection has been fully developed through the resurrection of Jesus. And so Job is a man who is robbed of everything that's precious to him. He's stripped of his human dignity, and reduced to suffer in the ashes of pain. And he's sitting there in total devastation. And he describes his loneliness in Job chapter 19. He says, "My relatives have failed me. My close friends have forgotten me. My bones stick to my skin and to my flesh." And maybe, we can identify with that at times in our lives, with such, personal devastation like Job experienced, or maybe in your own experiences, it's just devastating. Recently, maybe you've ministered to someone that cut down by the harsh realities of loss, when we have felt it either directly or indirectly in some way, I would imagine, in our lives, and it leaves us sometimes to question: is this all there is? I just feel forgotten. I feel like and people have failed me, and these things. And yet, despite all of that, all of his loss and all of his questions and all of his doubt and all of his pain, Job comforts himself with these words. He says, "I know that my Redeemer lives." In Old Testament times, a redeemer was someone who rescues a victim from poverty. And Job, loses everything: his flocks, his herds, his children, everything. His many sufferings bring him to the point of desperation. But yet, even though he questioned, rather than giving in to despair, he makes a remarkable statement of faith: "I know that my Redeemer lives." And so, was Mel Blanc right? Well, maybe for the ending of the cartoon, maybe for the ending of that episode of Looney Tunes, but the message of the resurrection is this: that's not all, folks. Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life." And so with Jesus, it's merely just the beginning. It's not the end, but the beginning of life eternal in a much better place than our earthly home will ever be. And so today it's good for us to consider how God has faithfully delivered us through trials and tribulation and hard things, and affirm the resurrection power of Jesus to overcome our greatest challenges, our greatest fears, our greatest doubts, our greatest losses, our greatest pains. Jesus has the power to overcome those things in our lives. Hope this brings you some comfort today. Hope it brings you some peace today and some encouragement. And I hope that you just have a great, great, and blessed day, and we'll talk to you next time.
They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart words of life, words of hope.